Oubliette Noob with more 40K content. And I'm sorry that I've been away for so long. I know that only a few of you have been watching my book reviews and my book clubs. But, we've had to take a little bit of a break from YouTube. Me and my family went on vacation. Then when I got back, I had to spend more time at work. And, the baby's been running around. So life has just been real life. And I haven't had as much time to read books. But I'm back at YouTubing again. And I have read a few books in my time, though I haven't really had time to coming around and scripting them. So we're gonna do one live, and then my next book review will be go back to my scripted style. And I've got a new microphone on the way because my old one busted out on me. So sorry about the soft hum of the fans inside my PC. Just think of them as the engine on the ship that we're on. Use your imagination. Bang! It's time to stand in midnight clad, man! So this time I've read The Oubliette by C.J. Stearns, and it was narrated by Katie Ma. It was my first, well, it's not my first WarHammer horror novel. It is my first WarHammer horror novel, but it's my second WarHammer horror story because I've already listened to The Watcher in the Rain, which was a horror novella, much shorter. This was an actual novel. I believe that the book was 8 hours in total. So we got a lot more of a little bit more drawn out horror. And we'll talk about some more about the horror aspect in the review. So basically, The Oubliette is a book about a planetary governor, Ashiel. She just became the planetary governor because her father and brother died in an accidental carriage accident, which brought her to prominence, and then some political issues and some dark forces force her into a pact and forces her into knowledge that her family's got some dark secrets in the basement. And the book escalates, and it kind of is a look into how far will you go in order to do your job and protect people. I had to look up what a oubliette is. A oubliette is actually just a fancy word for a dungeon. So when you think about the oubliette, think about a dungeon labyrinth, because that's exactly what it is. And it's the title of the book, and it's fitting because that's kind of where all the trouble starts. It's not where the trouble starts at, but it's where the big trouble starts. So I'm going to actually not drop spoilers for what happens in this book, because it's kind of like one of those kinds of books that it's got some pretty big twists in it. And I think my favorite parts of the book are actually theory crafting as I listen to the novel and coming around and getting the big reveals halfway through and at the end. So there will be a spoiler part of the video, but for now I'll try to talk about the book without spoiling the big reveals. So basically what happens is Ashiel is at the funeral procession for her brother and father. They died in a carriage accident, as we said before, and she gets approached by a lesser noble, or basically a person representing a lesser noble, this guy Nostrovsky, and he's basically trying to set up a meeting. And basically there's a noble family. Ashiel is from the Mackersons. They're the line of planetary governors. Her father and her grandfather were the planetary governors before them. And they're known as good people, surprisingly, because to my knowledge in the 40K universe, planetary governors are quite asshole-ish. So it's interesting to see some actual good people come out of the side. But she's basically approached by this lady, Asila Venassel. Whoa, oh goodness, what's this lady's name? It is Asila Venason. The Venason family are a noble family, and they've got a little bit of power, quite a bit of power, but they have a bad reputation for like prostitution and drug smuggling, you name it. They're into some dark shit. So they approach Ashiel, and they're basically trying to get her to marry into the family so that they can kind of join into like the power of the planetary governor. And it's almost alluded to that they had something to do with her father and brother's death, but she basically turns them down because she does she's disgusted with them, of course. The lady is furious, and she's like, you'll change your mind. Her brother comes down. He is another main character. His name is Henrik Mackerson, and he basically was spirited away to the Skola, and he never had a chance at the planetary governorship, and he became an arbiter. And this is an interesting book because this is my first arbitrator. Yes, my first arbitrator that I've ever seen in a 40K book. So it's very cool to see their perspective and what kind of power they have and what kind of weapons they use and armor, you know. The Judge Dredd is kind of like what the comparison I was given to, and by the end of the book I can totally see that. Basically he is there to investigate, but he's not, because it's involving his own family, so technically he's not allowed to, but he seems to be snooping around there. You get point of view from both Ashiel and the Venasons, the members of the family, as the mother, a daughter who's equally, if not more cruel than she is, and then their brother who is basically a psychopath. That night, when she's in her father's room, she hears gunshots and she realized that her second in command got killed, and then she gets attacked by an assassin. She manages to fight him off, run, gets saved by a housekeeper, takes her to the basement. The housekeeper pushes her in and locks her in, and the housekeeper, it sounds like she gets whacked on the outside by whoever's chasing her, and you can tell that it's Nostrovsky, the guy she talked to earlier, because of his voice, and she's actually being chased by two people, though she can't see them. She can hear two voices. She goes down deep into these escape tunnels underneath the castle, and she finds a bunch of Xenos artifacts down there. Stuff that they have confiscated from, you know, heretics, of course. And the assassin finds a way and he's chasing her through the labyrinth. And as she gets in there, she finds a corpse, and the corpse starts talking to her and telling her that she can save her if she gives up a little piece of herself. So basically she finds a ritual dagger and she cuts off her finger. That blood allows the creature to come to life, and it takes out the assassin. And this is probably where the horror part of the book comes in, because it kills the assassin quite horribly, and the narration on how they write it is very freaking good. Let me just go through some of the major plot points. So definitely one of my favorite things was seeing the governorship go against not a royal family, but a noble family, and see how they could struggle for power, because I just figured that the planetary governor, they were just so set in stone. But of course there has to be uprisings and politics, and this isn't out of the ordinary, and most of the time, from what I understand, unless it affects its hives, the Imperium will let that stuff play out. They don't really care who's in charge from their point of view. So this is probably more of the normal, but I don't get to see politics of a planet from this close up, so this was very interesting to see the politics between the Venasons and the Matricens. The Venasons, you just go read the book, but the Venasons are some of the most fucked up people in 40K, who are not directly chaos or anything like that. They're not chaos fueled or Xenos fueled or anything like that. They're just regular ass fucked up people. It's almost like if the family from the Devil's Rejects or a noble family. This is kind of what you get out of the Venasons, and I think that all of their characters were interesting. Another great plot point is actually Ashiel's rivalry with her brother. I don't want to spoil that, but if you've ever had like negative family ties with a brother and sister, this can be very relatable. The relationship between her and her brother and her father is all very relatable. And the ending of the book, we'll have to come back to this because crazy shit happens. The actual horror element is there in the beginning of the book, but as the book goes on, it becomes less of a horror book and more of a just how fucked up can you really get, and how much are you willing to sacrifice of people and the people that you love in order to achieve your goal. It's one of those gray area books where it's no good guys in 40K. Who do we cheer for? I don't know. So this is my rating system. Basically, I start from 1, 5, or 10. A book can get a 1 being absolute dog shit, or it could be a 10, one of the best 40K books that you could possibly read and one of my personal favorites. And then there's 5, which is just kind of average. Depending on how much I enjoyed the book, I either start from 1, start from 5, or start from 10. If I start from 1, I try to think about things I liked about the book and add points from there. If it's kind of average, I'll give or take away points, and it can bounce up and down from that. And if it's at a 10, I might take away points from things that I just think were problems with the book, and I don't want to call every book I read my favorite book. So I have to like try to be subjective when it comes to it and compare them to my favorite books, and like what takes away from them being the best books that I've ever read. So to be honest with you, I enjoyed this book so much that we're kind of going to start from the 10 spot. It's in no way a perfect book, and I'm going to take away some points a lot, but I just really enjoyed it because it gave me healthy view of the 40K verse that I didn't have before. And I always can appreciate that with interesting characters and some intrigue. I love intrigue. I'm going to take away points for one because it's marketed as a WarHammer horror novel, and it's not very scary of a book. The third chapter is kind of where the horror ends, and there's horrible stuff, but it's not like scary in terms of like, I don't want to listen to this by myself in a dark room with nobody home. And it's only like that up until in chapter 3. So I'm going to take away a whole point for that. And I'm also going to take away a half a point because there's a little bit of like, I'm not going to call it a plot hole, but the brother has some information and I want to know how he got this information. And I just feel like if we got more point of view from Hendrickson's character, maybe the book would have been a lot more solid, but perhaps there was only like a time limit or so many pages they could use. It's hard to say, but I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. And I'm going to talk about some spoiler stuff now. So if you are not into the spoilers, if you still want to read the book, I say click off now. So first and foremost, this thing in the basement, I could have swore when I first read the book it was going to be something chaos. I thought it was like something hidden away that was Nurgle or something that was just sort of like Xingqian, but it turns out no, it's definitely Xenos. And when they said Xenos artifacts, they meant it. For some reason, I'm just such a chaos head that I just thought that like, I was like, for sure it's going to be chaos. They don't know what they're talking about. Wrong, it was Xenos. So this thing, Jesuvial, it called itself. It made a deal with Ashiel. The first deal, it'll kill somebody for her if she sacrifices a little piece from herself. The next time she needs it to kill somebody, one of the matricians finds out and is trying to unseat her because of like what's in the basement. She needs to get a kill on him too. It does, but now it's like, no, now I need sacrifices from other people. So basically she has to kill someone. It's a life for a life. She has to kill someone in order for Jesuvial to pop up and kill them. And Jesuvial is a fucked up spirit. The hints were there early on. It loves torturing people, and it is getting more healthy. It was like withered away husk, but as more people died and more people suffered on the planet, it got healthier and healthier and got more muscle and skin and things and stuff like that back. And it was an artist. The Venason's son, was his name Tragon or something, I forgot his name, but he got killed in like one of the most grisly 40K ways I could think of. And I was just sort of like, how did I not get all the hints that this thing in the basement was a dark Eldar mandrake the entire time? And at the end of the book, the Venasons actually have a plant inside there, and it turns out to be Hendrix, the brother, the arbitrator, who sides with the Venasons against her at the end of the story. And he's suspicious because they found out that they killed the housekeeper. She killed the housekeeper that protected her in the beginning of the book. She sacrificed her in order to kill one of them. So when he managed to find out about that, and he knew it was her. So when she was about to kill the latest body, he pops up with his gun, and he tells the Venason daughter to go tell somebody that, and she's like, you're under arrest, and they're having a standoff. She's got her plasma pistol in her pocket, and she's ready to draw it, and he's just sort of like, don't go for that gun. And they're talking shit back and forth, and like he can feel, she knows Jesuvial's there, and Jesuvial actually helps her by distracting the brother. She whispers to him, and then when he looks, she pulls the plasma pistol and blasts his ass. And then she gets down and she tells him that she's proud of him and that he's done his duty to the Emperor. And then she proceeds to shoot him in the face with the fucking plasma pistol. That gets the kill on him, and she's able to kill the last person she needs to before they're able to get any information back. After that, they form a blood pact, another one. The same people that used to live on the planet and the pacts their people used to have. And it brings a lot more dark Eldar mandrakes into their world, and they devour the entire noble family of the Venasons. And the book just kind of ends with a report saying that the planet, I might be interpreting this wrong, but the book says that the planet's basically just fine. There's no need to increase tithes or anything like that because, they went dark for a second, but it seems no reason to investigate. So that means that they're going to keep on with this pact, and The Imperium's not going to know. Hell, it's an agri-world out there on the border. The Mechanicus is just using them for food. No one's going to know that this is going on. So, world just keeps on spinning. I don't think that there's much of a theme to the book. Besides, you'll have to, like, sacrifice. It's almost like being the president of the United States. And I know the 40K is a larger UK fan base, and I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but this is just how I think of it. Whether you're a good person or a bad person, when you become the president, you're going to have to make some fucked up decisions. Some people are going to have to, you'll have to sacrifice some people's lives because it is your job. And that's kind of how I felt about the planetary governorship. The first time with self-defense is true, but after that, she was sacrificing people that were very close to her. And she could have went through the hard work and went and kidnapped somebody, but no, she just took the easy way out and sacrificed people that she trusted and people that had done nothing but tried to help her. Can you say you blame her? What would you do in her position? What I want to know from you before I end the video is, do you side with Hendrix and the Venetians, or do you, well, not the Venetians, because the Venetians would have used the power for themselves automatically, you already know that, but do you side with Hendrix, or do you side with Ashiel? Was she really just doing this as a means to an end and she's unjustified, or is she right? Because I kind of side with Ashiel, and that's my decisions. But anyway, that's another 40K video. I ran it for long enough. Like and subscribe, please. I'm back again, and we're doing Talent of Horrors after this. I've already read the book, and I've got the review on its way. All I have to do is record it. Battle brothers and battle sisters. Until next time, Ave Dominus Nox.